The next chapter of Project Red has arrived with KAKUSEIHUNTER Omegahorn, and it's already taking things into a completely different direction. We got a fun cast, an interesting world, exciting kaiju battles, and a mysterious connection to GAVAN Infinity. There's a whole lot to unpack, so let's get right into it. First off, I gotta say I love Shout as a main character. Right from the start, he's giving off that Ash Ketchum vibe with his fun, energetic personality that seems like it's going to be fun to follow. But what makes him even more interesting is that he doesn't want to be the traditional hunter, instead he's chasing treasure. And of course, that's where the Omegahorn suit comes in. And this thing is an absolute beast. It punches through an entire wall just to reach some treasure, protects Shout from a 100-foot fall that his analyzer said would have killed him otherwise, and even allows him to hold his own against Gogaku for a bit. And I think the best part of the suit is the fact that it's actually homemade, which really makes you wonder how he actually made it. One of the many things I've seen people comment on is the fact that the suit looks like it has parts of GAVAN Infinity. So is this intentional? But the fact that the suit was created for adventures reminds me a lot of how the Boom Boonger suits were never intended to be used for combat. Taya just had the tools to take on the Hashilians and knew he had a world he had to protect. Which is kinda ironic given that the same writer is also writing this show here. But this also brings up the question, how will his suit be used in the show? Like the show outright states that he will not be able to take on these kaijus and beat them. He can at least take them on and survive, but he will never beat them. So I wonder if his suit will actually be used in the hunter battles that Giriko was showing off, which more on her in a bit. I think this is honestly going to be where we see the suit on full display, but then again, what kind of weapons is he going to use? Because Omegahorn's strength alone won't be able to go against a fully powered Kakuzyu weapon. Also, his Omega Analyzer might be the funniest character in the show so far. Within its first few lines, it sassily corrects Shout on its name, wanting to be called the Omega Analyzer instead of Anna, even though he created her. Or even telling him that he would have died if it wasn't for his suit. It honestly reminds me of how Ash's Pokedex indirectly called him an idiot in the first episode. Either way, I cannot wait to follow Shout. Now, alongside Shout, we have Enkaku, which I just gotta say, I love this guy. He reminds me a lot of Ankh because he feels completely out of place in this technologically advanced world. And his confusion allows for us to have a person that we can learn about the customs of this world without getting a massive exposition dump in the middle of the episode. And he'll also serve as our window for the lore about the Kakuzyu. And all of this makes for some really funny moments, especially in the side special, where Shout teaches him how to use a microwave. He learns about frozen food, cupped ramen, and even DoorDash. I definitely hope that this humor sticks around. However, unlike Ankh, he actually backs Shout up right away. He's basically his personal hype man, literally hyping up Shout right before his battle. And he was willing to battle with him right away, and even disappointed when Shout put the Omegahorn away. It seems like he's going to be the one that's going to be driving Shout to be wanting to do these battles and effectively boosting his ego. I also love the fact that the title Captain Omegahorn was given to Shout by him. And I really wonder if his whole wanting to usher in a new era beast will actually become a plot point in the future. Either way, I really think Shout and his relationship are going to be a more optimistic version of Ankh and Eiji, where instead of Ankh learning compassion from Eiji, I can see Shout fully embracing his passion and maybe even his ego as a treasure hunter because of Enkaku's constant encouragement. And honestly, I hope Enkaku hyping Shout up becomes a running gag, kinda like how was his Iwae speech in Zio. Then when something truly huge happens, Shout can pull a Sogo and tell him to announce him. Also, side note, their battle style feels very similar to Ash's weird battle styles. Like Shout literally told Enkaku to dig at the ground to blind the dogs and then back kick them to finish the fight. Like, that is some Ash Ketchum style battling. If he keeps up this battle style, I am going to love these battles. Keeping up with the love of the cast, I really just love Giriko. She is honestly a badass character who lived up to the hype I felt right when I saw her. Right away, she is willing to fight a person stirring up trouble in the town. Now, I hope that they keep her as a hero that doesn't actually need a Henshin to fight. Like, just keep on doing her stunts like you did in this episode and you will be perfect. I really honestly think that this is them testing the grounds of a non-Henshin hero type character, which again, I just really want to see more of this. Though this does make me wonder if she'll be able to use Zankaku similar to how the twins do. But for now, I really like the direction they're taking with her. And after everything that happened this episode, she clearly caught the attention of those twins, while she herself seems to be really interested in Shout and Enkaku. Now I gotta take a second to appreciate the world building because this show wastes absolutely no time getting right into it. Right from the get-go, this show gives us a look at the world of the past. There was a great war between the Kakuzyu with two different factions, Enkaku and Zetsu Enkaku. Something that gets sorta explained in this cartoon with how the Egorgears were made that I hope will actually get introduced in the show. But that's not only where the world building shows. Immediately when Xiao gets his new Egorgear, he goes to an RPG style town and finds a shop where he sells all the stuff he found on his journey. We know that these Egorgears can be sold, but most people use them for battles. And I absolutely love these kaiju battles, both the big kaiju battles and the human versus human fights. And I'll be honest, the way that they kinda announce themselves kinda reminds me of how Gojuger did it with the #1 battles. And I'll be honest, they definitely did work in Gojuger and they made me hype for the battles. And there's literally a whole battle system within these battles. You can either fight with them as a weapon, armor and weapon, or straight up battle with the kaiju. And when you beat someone, you literally take their Kakuzyu. Or in Xiao's case, not take the Kakuzyu because he has his own morals. Honestly, after just one episode, I feel like Omegahorn has established more of its world than GAVAN Infinity managed to over its entire run. Most of Infinity's world building came from its side GAVANs, and those guys don't even matter. And of course, Kiki and Koto's greeting on their Earth. Whereas Omegahorn makes its setting feel alive right from the beginning. Now we gotta talk about the villains, because these guys immediately left a stronger impression than Death GAVAN ever did. The Abaro Alliance wastes no time establishing itself as a real threat by stealing Egorgears from hunters and recruiting more people into its ranks, thus making its forces even stronger. It immediately raises the stakes, especially now that Ragy has joined them, but I'll get into him in a second. Overall, this episode didn't really touch upon them that much, but definitely the next episode seems like it's going to touch upon them a bit more than it actually did here. Now, the biggest takeaway from the entire episode was Ragy. Seeing him on the villain side while his ship being crashed on the beach is easily the biggest twist of episode 1. It directly connects GAVAN Infinity to Omegahorn and is building towards something big. I also just love that this is the ultimate payoff for the people that actually kept up with GAVAN Infinity. Now personally, I think there are a few different directions they could take with this. First, which is a lot of people's idea, is that he's going undercover to infiltrate the Abaro Alliance. Maybe Abaro has some connection to Death GAVAN that we simply don't know about. Wrecking his ship and throwing out the gun could allow him to easily blend in with this world and not get found out that he's a space cop. Plus, his entire clothing literally looks exactly like Mikage's drip. Like it's basically 1-to-1, like he's almost playing a role. Second, this could simply be the case of amnesia. Maybe he got into a battle with someone in space and his ship crashed and landed here. He's lost and all he knows is his name is Ragy, and he took the name Ironclad when he learned the ways of the world. This could also lead to an interesting dynamic between him and Shout, where throughout the series he's slowly getting his memories back through either being in battles or watching battles between Shout. Plus, it would make sense why Bushido and Luminous are here in the next episode. They are just simply trying to track him down after his ship crashed. Third, his Yamimaku somehow made him descend into darkness, and his ship landed here and he joined the Abaro Alliance as a way to ascend into power. Though this does not explain his Gavarian trigger floating in space. But my favorite is that this is a personal issue for Ragy following his time as Infinity. The final battle of Infinity has the higher powers literally remove his powers and leave him in a shitty situation before the battle. All because they were afraid of the GAVANs having dimension hopping powers, even though Ragy has had it since the very beginning of the series. They had a fear that they would eventually turn on them due to their emotions and Yamimaku. So essentially, the cycle would just continue. He literally had to convince them to give them his powers back. That's something that definitely pissed Ragy off, and rightfully so. I mean, it literally pissed me off as a viewer. So maybe Ragy abandoned his Gavarian trigger at the end of the series and took off without a word because he wants to find himself and find a power that he can fight without using another source. And the only reason why he joined the Abaro Alliance was for a strong connection to power. Which, if this is the case, I cannot wait to see Kiki and ZEZTZ's reaction to the new Ragy. Now, I really appreciate seeing all the practical effects being used in full effect. You can see the love and care put into these battles, especially when you look at the behind the scenes clips. Taking into account every single movement, the camera angle, and even the time of day. They really are going all out with this show, and you can tell. Overall, I am excited for this series and cannot wait to see how it connects to GAVAN Infinity, especially the Ragy stuff. This truly does feel like the start of Project Red. But let me know your thoughts on the first episode in the comments below. And while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe. We got a bunch of Toku videos in the works, and I don't want you to miss them. And with that, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. I'm FellPlays, and I'm out. Peace.